Hey trackies, welcome back to another video here on TXT Track Time. Please remember to like the video and also subscribe to the channel. Alright, so trackies, yes. More spicy action coming up this Sunday, and it's going to be the Millrose games and a few Jamaicans, well, a plethora actually of Jamaicans will line up in some of those key 60-meter distances, and I'm going to touch, on those races and potentially talk about what we expect coming into these final runs. Now we'll see the likes of Briana Williams come out. Now, of course, there's a lot of question mark over her head as it relates to her injury. Now, I did speak to that, and she'll be lining up here, so that's great. Now we see also Ackeem Blake coming off the heels of a phenomenal run. Plus, we also see a few of our hurdlers take on the best in the world so far in that 60-meter hurdles distance as well. So track is it's going to be another spicy meeting coming up on Sunday. So without further ado, trackies, let's get straight into the action. Let's see the events. I'm just going to share my screen and then we can get into one, the lineup, and two, where we expect or hope the Jamaicans will place in the bigger scheme of things. Right? So with that said, here we go. Oh, so we're right on the women's 60-meter hurdles. I guess I didn't come off the thingy majiggy me. So we're right on the women's 60-meter hurdles for the start list trackies. And as you can see right here, there's nine people as it stands right now. So I'm kind of looking at it and I'm wondering, trackies, if if this is a 9-lane track one, or they just randomly popped on an extra person just in case if somebody pulls out, then they'll have this person run, right? Because when you look at the distance in terms of times and performances, this last ninth person really does looks like an odd one out. I'm telling you, like if all these 8 people line up, I'm wondering, like, okay, is this ninth person gonna make it the cut? You know what I mean? So yeah, that's my feel when I look at this 9-lane. I mean, this list with 9 people. But with that said, let's get into the nine. So we have Sydney Sembo. She's so far run a season equaling or personal best, sorry, equaling 7.89 seconds. Then we have Shanika Nelvis, has not opened her season yet. It has been a while since I've seen Sharika Nelvis. I won't lie. I see a few of these American athletes that used to be big a few years ago really coming back. Sharika is one. What's that little short girl with that long hair? Her name is slipping me right now, but yeah, she's coming back into things too. I don't know if because it's a world indoor year, and especially the one that I just mentioned, and her name is slipping me. They tend to do well over the shorter distance. Don't get me wrong; they're also phenomenal over the full distance. But yeah, seen a few of these athletes come back, so it's interesting. Then we see Nia Ali. She's also so far on a personal best equaling 7.80 seconds. Then we had Devin Charlton, had the world lead at one particular point in time, lost that, and the person she lost it to is actually in this race. And then we have Danielle Williams. She so far has run 7.89 seconds, has a PB of 7.75 seconds. So when you talk about the best in the world and their personal bests, then she definitely lives up to, or she's with that pack when it comes to the first 60, right? She's not one of those quote unquote slow starters. Then we have Tia Jones. She's the current world leader, 7.72 seconds. This is her personal best. Absolutely phenomenal run. Then we have Ackera Nugent. She has a personal best of 7.72 as well, but so far she has run 7.92. Then we have Megan Tapper. I was actually surprised seeing Megan Tapper's result last week, and I thought to myself, was this Megan? She's never dipped below 8 seconds indoors. That was surprising to me. Yeah, and then we have this Alyssa Samuel with a best time so far this season, 8.35 seconds, which, as I said, she seems like the odd one out in this particular race. I think this race, oh, and just to be clear, there'll be no heats for these races. It's just a straight final, right? So when I look at it, the race will be happening in the Mega Lotto Pack. Definitely looking at Devian Charlton and definitely looking at Tia Jones, right? The only person missing from this is the world record holder, as far as I'm concerned, Toby Amson. But yeah, this is a phenomenal race right here. I definitely believe the race is going to be happening again between Devian Charlton and Tia Jones. Now, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with Tia Jones. I hold a grudge. I realized recently that I apparently hold track grudges when it comes to Jamaicans. Now, I don't know if the grudges against Tia personally, or the country she represents, which is the United States, or the meet organizers. I don't know who it was, but or who it is, but there's some kind of grudge festering in my bones. So back in what was it, 2016? Or was it 2018? One of those years when Brittany Anderson went up for the World Indoor, not World Indoor, sorry, the World Under 20 Championships, and she was in the race with Tia Jones. Tia got off to a phenomenal start, but Brittany caught her right on the line. And I remember thinking when I look at that, still that was definitely Brittany's race. However, they gave it to Tia Jones, but it doesn't even end there. The times came back as literally the same exact time. The time is slipping me now, but it was the same time down to even the thousandths of a second. Yet they gave Brittany silver. I've never gotten over that. I'm like, how does Brittany get silver? How did you come up in your brain and say, okay, both of them have the same exact time down to the thousand, but you're gonna give Tia gold and give, Brittany silver. At the time I think I was thinking, you know what? I think this is because it's a USA athlete. They're like, okay, let's give it to the US athlete. That was the best thing I could come up with in my mind, which made me, upset. So I don't know what the reasoning was at the time, but I just know there's some little grudge festering in my brain, right? But anyway, let's get into it. She's having a phenomenal season, so far, Tia, right? As it relates to the Jamaicans so far, I'm hoping that this is a race where I can see Ackera Nugent really, really drop her time in, and also Danielle Williams. Do I expect them to challenge um Devin Charlton and Tia Jones? I'm not really sure because right now these athletes are currently in 7-7 shape. You know what I mean? So these girls would have to be cutting quite a bit off their season's best to be able to challenge Devin and Tia. With that said, I do believe Danielle and Ackera will be someplace, in that third to fourth ish, fifth ish pack. You know what I mean? I do also expect to see Nia Ali up there as well in this. So let's see what happens, right? As the race goes off, we'll clearly see how it progresses. But for now, I'm going with um Tia, Devine, with Ackera and Danielle, right behind, a step behind. That's what I would say as it relates to this women's 60 meters hurdles finals. So let's jump over into the men's 60-meter hurdle finals. We have Dylan Beard. He has run 7.54 so far this season, also a personal best. Gianna Roberts from Jamaica has a season best of 7.70. Cardell Tinch is here, has a season best of 7.75. He's, one to look out for America this season outdoors as well. Then we have Trey Cunningham. I've talked about him. Love his hurdling technique. Absolutely phenomenal to watch. So far this season, 7.74. Then we have Danielle Roberts. This so far this season, 7.49. So this is gonna be an interesting race. Michael Dixon is in here. We have Damian Thomas so far this season, 7.61, and Orlando Bennett so far this season, 7.87. Honestly, this race is going to be between, the American top guns so far. And, there's a big question mark as it relates to, is Grant Holloway safe? You know what I mean? Is he safe this year making the Olympic team? A lot of people are like, oh, Grant is going to walk away and do what he always does. But these athletes are coming in, thick and fast, right? Cardell Tinch is right on the heels. So is Trey Cunningham, and so is Danielle Roberts. And if anything happens, you never know. America is really fielding a strong, 110-meter hurdler team this year. So let's see how that goes. I believe this race is clearly between the three guys that I mentioned. Trey Cunningham, Daniel Roberts, and Cardell Tinch. I do think this race goes to Trey Cunningham because his technique is so clean. You know what I mean? Daniel messes up every now and again. I won't lie. He definitely messes up. If he was cleaner, then he would definitely challenge in my mind, or possibly take this win. But he gets out a bit on the messy side, right? So with that said, I'm going with Trey Cunningham. But let's see. I'm hoping that the Jamaicans, even though I believe that they'll be at the back of the pack in this race, I'm hoping that we can get some season's best out of this particular race. Let's jump on over to the women's now 60-meter final. Now in here we have two representatives, Briana Williams and we have Sasha Lee Forbes. Now we see English Gardner line up here. Her season's best so far 7.25. Then we see Tamara Clark. She's run a season's best so far 7.18 seconds. Also a personal best for her. Then the big woman of the moment when it comes to these 60s is definitely Julien Alfred. Want to see what she does so far, especially considering, on the back of what Eva Soboda has done. Yes, I said Eva, not Iwa. What Eva Zoboda has done so far, 7.01 seconds. Want to see if she's able to dismantle that current world lead. So in continuing, we have Cecily Forbes again. She's run 7:03, but this is outdoors. So the fastest she's run indoors, I mean outdoors, indoors was 7 point, what was it, 10 seconds. So either 1011, yeah, that's her fastest so far this season. And then we have Destiny Smith Barnett, Shannon Ray, and Crystal Emmanuel. I believe this race is definitely, as you know, how you see it outlined here, happening in the middle of the pack. Do I think Julian Alfred will be challenged? No. I was expecting to see Dina Asher Smith here, not seeing her. No, I know there's a question mark over Dina's head as it relates to, what's her current status, considering that she stopped in her last race and then didn't enter the other race, the 60-meter final, but are the heats to get to the finals. But from my perspective, it didn't look like anything was wrong with her. A lot of people were saying she pulled a hammy, but then, I was advised that she was over on flow track, running 300s and 150s, no, 150s or something like that. Watch the video. Dina looks perfectly fine. So, not sure why she pulled out of this race, but a lot of people are saying I'm being a bit too hard on Dina because, she needs that time to transition to this into this new setup. And I'm like, I agree that she needs a time like we'll give everybody else when they start a new training camp. But the problem is that this is an Olympic year, so she really doesn't have any time to dilly dally. This is the time to get it. You know what I mean? It's a very crucial year for Dina. So yeah, she's definitely thrown into the fire, right? But she's not here, so that kind of dampens the feel a little bit, right? But with that said, I definitely think this is Julian's race. I'm interested to see what Briana does in this race, right? And then there's Shasha Lee, right? So far, other than Brianna Liston, Shasha Lee comes next in terms of indoor times run so far, right? I want to see because Brianna turns things on, at the opportune moment, at the right moment, right? I want to see her turn things on, and I want to see where she challenges in this race. But for now, I'm tossing her and that's Brianna and Shasha Lee right at second and third in this particular race. Honestly, this field is not that strong. Other than Julian Alfred, everybody else is not really firing so far this season. So my expectations are not really high for the times in this race, other than to see, what Julian does. She'll always go out and execute her race. So let's see. But I do have Jamaica figuring in top three, both athletes figuring in top three. So let's see how that goes. And now moving on to the exciting men's 60-meter final. No, this one is the humdinger trackies because this is where we will see world record holder lineup Christian Coleman. Yes, the indoor 60-meter world record holder Christian Coleman lines up in this one, and we send one of our top guns this season. I mean, outdoors clearly he's one of our top guns, but indoors he's been definitely doing his thing. Ackeem Blake so far 6.45 seconds, just a narrow loss to Noah Lyles last week. And then we spoke about a few issues that we saw. One, he didn't look like he dipped. Two, he definitely looks a bit tight in the race, but personally, I think he takes this as a motivation into the next race. I definitely think he'll run a bit more relaxed into this race, and because now you've done it against one of the best out there in terms of outdoor 100 meters, right? So let's see what he does in this race. But I have big hopes for him. But he's not the only one. So in this race, we have Shakur Williams. Then we have Ryan Ford. I'm looking out for Ryan Ford, even though it says his season best is 7.34. It's actually 6.60. I don't know where this 7.34 came from, but yeah, it's actually 6.60. And I talked about how easy he looked in that race. So I can't wait to see how he looks, in a more challenging race. And this is the race for, him to be pushed to a faster time. So I'm really looking forward to see what will happen with Ryan Ford in this race. Then we have Andre DeGrasse. He's definitely not the best starter, especially when you look at the full 100-meter distance. Let's see what happens in this race. He does have a season best of 6.65, so that's interesting. Let's see what happens here. Christian Coleman has not opened this season, but he is a 60-meter specialist. Again, he's the world. Well, I don't want to say world, specialist, since he he, was a world champion. So don't want to say he's a 60-meter specialist, but he does have the world record there, right? So he knows, he can just do it this, at a moment's notice, just like that. He can turn it on. So, and I'm expecting that in this particular race. Then of course there's Ackeem Blake, as I said. Then there's Hakeem Sonny Brown. Then there's Demet Kemp, Miles Lewis, and also JT Smith. Where do I think this race unfolds? I do think it unfolds between Christian Coleman and Ackeem Blake. Is this the race to see Ackeem Blake run a 6'3"? A lot of people talked and said that, look here, if, Ackeem Blake did a few things differently, could we have seen him, run sub 4, 6'4" that is? That would have been interesting. So is this the race when he's running with somebody that is, that good over the 60-meter distance? Can we see such a fast time? And remember also that Christian Coleman, I've been saying he's the one to look out for this year. He's the one to watch in my mind. He's coming with fire as far as I'm concerned, right? And he's been getting better each year he's come back. So I'm expecting to see a much better version of Christian Coleman as well. Even though this is the first race out, I do have high expectations of him. I won't lie. So let's see what happens there. I do think the race is between Ackeem and Christian Coleman. I'm looking to see what Ryan Ford definitely does in this race as well. Definitely looking out for Ryan Ford, and to a lesser extent, I suppose, Hakeem Sonny Brown and Demet Kemp, looking to see what they do in this race. But yeah, track is, I definitely think this race is between Ackeem Blake and Christian Coleman. For me personally, I'm hoping for a much faster time from Ackeem Blake in this race. I'm hoping for the win as well. If Christian Coleman doesn't turn up on A game, potentially Ackeem Blake could walk away with this win, and that's crazy, right, Shakis? But anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video, of course. I forget to do with my hands. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you all in a next one. Bye.